Morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Chapter 42, verse 10. So Yosef, not revealing himself as Yosef, but just as the viceroy of Egypt, tells the brothers, I think you all are spies. Vayomru elav lo adoni. They said back to him, no, my master, we're not spies. Vavadecha bo lishbarocha. We're just here to get food. Verse 11, Kulanu bnei ish echad nachnu. We're all the sons of the same man. Kinim anachnu, we're being honest. Lo hayu avodecha meraglim. Your servants have not been spies. Okay, so for whatever reason, he suspects them of being spies. He doesn't really suspect them, but he accuses them of being spies. And we discussed this a little bit yesterday. Why does the fact that they're brothers make any difference whatsoever? I mean, is this just they're just telling some background about themselves? How does the answer respond to the question? They said we're not spies. That's an answer, but you should know we're all brothers. That answers it. Why does that answer it? Let's see the Ramban. Ramban on Pasuk Yud Aleph. Kulanu bnei ish echad nachnu. Yitachin lefarish b'tana azos ki amru. It's possible that what they're saying is as follows: Mibnei hayosenu achim bnei ish echad. Being that we're brothers, v'lo niparid zeh mizeh. We don't want to separate. Kichein ritzon avinu. That's what our father wants of us. Banu kulanu ke'echad lishbar ochel, v'lo shalachnu echad mimenu im avadav. So if you remember yesterday, we saw the Ramban. The Ramban says part of Yosef's claim to them is, you people look like you're pretty well off. So why would you be here to get food and not just send your servants? That's part of what he said to them. So the follow-up to that is, for whatever reason, maybe one of you wants to come along to manage the servants, but do all of you need to come along? That's so strange. So they explained back to him, that's a good point. We really theoretically could have sent one of us to see to it that the servants brought everything back appropriately, but we're all brothers, and our father likes us to stick together. You know, there's sort of an implication that it has something to do with our father. We all are children of the same man. It's a little bit of a funny way of saying we're brothers. So that's how the Ramban starts off. Indeed, says the Ramban. Why would Yaakov send all of them? What a strange thing that he sends all of them to go. They don't want to split up. So if one of them has to go, they all go. Gam yitachen she'asukein ba'avur koved harav. It's also possible that this has to do with the intensity of the famine. Shlo yigzulu me'avdeim baderech es hashever asher yaviu. It could be that they're worried that if they just send servants along, maybe people will steal from them along the way. Maybe they don't trust their servants to be able to successfully bring all that food back without being disturbed. So we're going to see later in the story that many of them at least are physically strong, etc. So maybe that's why. It's possible they're saying to him, Kulanu b'nei ish echad nachnu, we're all brothers. Tuchal lachkor alav. Do some research if you want. Ki unoda b'chvod ashro v'rov banav. Maybe what they're saying to him is, we're not fly-by-night types. We're the sons of a famous person. So it's not as much about the fact that we're brothers. It's, if you suspect us, I don't know, do a Google. Our father is Yaakov. Find out about him. And what do you think the odds are that his sons are wandering around as spies in Egypt? If you look into it, you'll find that we're on the level here. By the way, you'll find out about us that we're righteous people. B'nei tzaddik, we're the sons of a righteous person. V'lo meraglim, and we're not spies. V'tam lo yu avodecha meraglim ki kenim anachnu me'odenu v'chol dvareinu. The Ramban makes another interesting point here, that the end of the pasuk is really interesting. They say, your servants were not spies. That's the tense. We're not spies. How about your servants are not spies? So the Ramban says the point is, check us out. We're children of a famous person. We're we're not the types to be spies, and we've never been the types to be spies. We've never been spies. There's a medrash. What actually bothered him wasn't that they were the ones who came. What bothered him was they came in through separate entrances. And that's common for spies. That, they don't want it to be known that they're coming together, so they come through different ways. Vitana Nechonahi. That makes sense. Avalo Hiskir so Akasa, but the Pasuk doesn't say it. It's also strange if that's what he's worried about. So if his question is, why did you all have to come? So the answer is we're brothers, we stick together. If his question is, I just think, I think it's strange that you all came. I think you guys are spies. The answer is we're all members of a very distinguished family. Check us out. We're not spies. If the question is, why'd you come through separate entrances? The answer is because we're brothers. What? How does that answer the question? Maybe the pshat is that he said to them, you came in through 10 entrances. And now, once you came in through 10 separate entrances, now you're getting together. That's funny. That looks like the stuff of spies. So they said to him, you want to know why we got back together again? Because we're brothers. So it's not because we're spies, it's because we're brothers. So then he says back to them, well, that's very nice that you're all brothers. So why did you split up into 10 of different entrances if you're all brothers? So therefore they respond, the irony of the moment is, of course, tremendous. In a couple of psukim later, they say, one of the brothers isn't with us, and we're trying to find him. So according to Ramban, that could be not just part of their life story, but a significant answer to the whole thing about, well, why'd you come in through different entrances? You came in through different entrances to got together again. We got together and got together as spies. Really? I'm sorry, because we're brothers, not spies. Really? So why'd you come through separate entrances in the first place? Well, as we're down here, we're trying to keep an eye out to figure out what happened to our brothers. So we figured when we enter, we'll enter through 10 different places to see if there's any leads. So this is all an interesting discussion here as to what they're saying back to him. Let's see the Sforno on Pasuk Yud Aleph. Kulanu b'nei ish echad nachnu. We're all brothers. V'im hayinu meraglim. If we were spies, haya b'mitzvos eza melech. If we're spies, there's probably somebody in charge sending us. V'lo yivchar hamelech kol hameraglim b'nei ish echad. What nation, if they were sending spies, would send all the spies from one family? Avobanu yachtav mipnei sha'anu achim. The fact that we all came together and we're all brothers is the proof that we must not be spies. In other words, if you're getting people to be spies, you probably want people with different perspectives. By the way, you probably don't want your spies to all be wearing matching clothes. It's nice for field trips to the zoo, but it probably is strange. So you probably don't all want your spies to have obvious genetic similarities, right? So why would you do that? So that's the Sforno's perspective on what their response is about the fact that they're brothers is a proof that we must not be spies. Both interesting points. Okay, let's go on to verse 21. Yosef doesn't accept their story. He acts like he doesn't accept their story. He takes Shimon prisoner. He tells them, I'm going to free your brother if you bring back this younger brother who's back home with your father that you told me about, Binyamin. Because if you can prove that your story is authentic, then I'll let your brother go. By the way, he gives them food, says, take food, but your brother Shimon is staying with me. That's what happens. And now, verse 21, it's an amazing pasuk. Each one said to his brother, Avol ashemim anachnu alachinu. We're guilty because of what we did to our brother. Ashera'inu saras nafsho bischanano elenu. We saw the pain of his soul when he begged us. Presumably, he's begging us from the pit to let him go. Below shamanu, and we didn't listen. Okain ba'a elenu atzarazos. That's why we had this calamity come upon us, which is an amazing thing. This is something we talk about a lot, and we never know why things happen. They don't know why this happens. But the idea that if something strange is happening in one's life, to ask oneself, maybe there's something I did that warranted this. Doesn't mean that's necessarily the case, but if there's something I can think of, and they draw the line. They say this person is causing us so much pain right now. Maybe it's as a group, by the way. It's not just me or you. It's as a group. We cause someone else terrible pain as a group. Maybe we did the wrong thing. A fascinating pasuk. And it's so significant that the Torah records this for us. The Torah is teaching us this is an important perspective. Ramban on pasuk Chaf Asher ra'inu tzaras nafsho b'schanano elenu. Chashvu lahem u'achzarius la'onesh gadol yosem min ha'muchira. The Ramban makes a fascinating statement. Let me ask you a question. If they feel guilty about something they did with Yosef, they should feel guilty about fill in the blank. So what they say is they feel guilty that we didn't have compassion for him when he begged us. How about feeling guilty about ruining his life? How about feeling guilty about selling him as a slave, kidnapping him, selling him as a slave? That they don't feel guilty about. Says the Ramban, Ki haya achayam besaram, mischanin u'misnapil l'raglayam, v'lo yirachamu. This is their flesh and blood, begging them to have mercy on him, and they don't have mercy. So that's what really resonates with them. How? Because there's a whole discussion, we probably discussed it a little bit last week. There's an argument that this was not just out of bitterness, that they thought this was the right thing for them to do. They thought he was trying to cause them significant problems. He was trying to destroy the family. They honestly thought they did the right thing. But even if we were right, we didn't feel his pain. If this was so important, why didn't the Torah tell us about this? Torah just says they put him in the pit, they sell him. That's it. No emotional exchanges. Ki yischanin adam le'echa b'vo li'adam l'heira lo, v'yashbiyem b'chayaviyem, v'yasa kol asher yuchal lahatzil nafshel mimavos. The Ramban says maybe the reason why the Torah doesn't tell us about this exchange because it's obvious. You guess what would have happened. Is he just sitting there calmly and saying, okay, just let me know, let me know. I'll just wait patiently down in the pit. Of course he's begging them to save him. The Torah doesn't have to tell us that. Maybe the Torah doesn't want to speak too much about their shortcomings. So we'll find out this at this point in the story. Maybe the Torah doesn't want to get into it. Or it's just the way of the Torah to go to, abbreviate things in one place and describe it in more detail somewhere else. Okay, so we discussed the Ramban and the Sforno this morning about what their statement back to him is by saying that they're brothers. Why does that help anything? And then we discussed the Ramban on their comments to each other about wow, maybe this is happening because we didn't have mercy for Yosef.